A flashing red status light on a home router marks the beginning of a specific regulatory timeline. From this moment, a set of mandatory compensation rules begins to apply to your account. Since 2019, UK broadband providers have paid out over £177 million through the Ofcom Automatic Compensation Scheme. It is a massive pool of capital reserved specifically for service values. For a standard one-week outage, a household is typically owed between £50 and £80. However, data suggests that 1 in 3 households receive less than the scheme's baseline requirements. This gap between the £177 million paid and the actual rate of service failure indicates that millions of pounds in legitimate claims remain uncollected every year. This chart outlines the official Ofcom rates for 2026. If your service fails completely, the provider is required to pay £9.76 for every calendar day the connection remains dead. The scheme also mandates a £30.49 payment for a missed engineer appointment, and £6.10 per day for any delay in activating a new service beyond the promised date. Because these figures are legally binding and adjusted for inflation, any credit on your bill that falls below these specific amounts represents a failure in the provider's automated system. Accessing these funds requires meeting a strict definition of total loss. The scheme does not trigger for slow speeds or intermittent drops. The connection must be entirely non-functional to qualify for the automatic daily rate. Even with a deadline, the compensation clock does not start immediately. Providers are granted a 48-hour grace period, specifically 2 full working days, to resolve the issue before they owe a single penny. This calendar demonstrates how a reporting delay creates a compensation trap. If your internet fails on a Friday, but you wait until Monday to report it, the 48-hour grace period only begins on Monday. In this scenario, your compensation wouldn't start accruing until Wednesday. By failing to report the outage the moment it occurs, you effectively write off 4 days of eligible credit, as the weekend and the grace period are both excluded from the calculation. A common reaction to a service failure is to cancel the direct debit in protest. However, since ISPs pay compensation as a credit against your balance, canceling the account leaves the provider with no mechanism to apply the funds, often resulting in late fees instead. During a complaint call, staff may offer a small, immediate payment, perhaps £20, as a gesture of goodwill to resolve the frustration of being offline. Accepting this quick payment can be a legal mistake. Providers often categorize these gestures as being in full and final settlement, a phrase used to close the case and terminate your right to the larger automatic payout. These small, immediate offers allow providers to settle their liability for a fraction of the amount mandated by the Ofcom scheme. The official scheme covers the loss of service, but it does not account for the costs of staying connected. A 5-day outage often leads to £20 to £40 in emergency mobile data top-ups that are not covered by the automatic credit. This chart highlights the financial gap for remote workers. While the Ofcom rate is £9.76, a freelancer losing £200 a day in billable hours faces a massive shortfall that the basic scheme never addresses. Collateral damage includes non-functional smart home security, streaming subscriptions you cannot use, and even missed retail return windows if you are unable to access labels or schedules. While Ofcom doesn't force ISPs to pay for these extra costs, maintaining a detailed record of every expense provides the documentation needed to request additional goodwill credits during the formal complaints process. To reclaim these losses, you must first establish a timeline. Record the exact minute the service failed, the time you reported it, and any missed engineer windows. Then use a 2026 Broadband Compensation Calculator to find your total. Compare the calculator's result against the credit on your bill. If there is a discrepancy, you have the evidence required to open a formal dispute. Follow the escalation path. State the 2026 Ofcom rules in a written complaint and give the provider 8 weeks to respond. If they fail to bridge the gap, you can escalate the case to the Communications Ombudsman for a free and binding ruling. The Ofcom scheme is not a guaranteed payout, it is a regulatory formula. You must actively track the gates and audit your bills to ensure you receive every pound the law requires.